Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Dad and Modern Lad, the YouTube channel and soon to be website. Today's video is part 3 of the best Japanese import games under £50. Games shown in these videos are exclusive to Japan on the Sega Saturn and prices are correct as of July 2019 using eBay Buy It Now listings. But many can be gotten cheaper at auction. The Saturn has a reputation of being expensive to collect for, and while there are expensive games for the system, there are far more cheaper games to discover. So without further ado, let's look at some of the games. Gus-Sun Oyo Oyo S, released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn, is a puzzle game that combines two of the all-time great puzzle games into one game, that being Tetris and Lemmings. In the game you have to turn and position different shaped blocks to allow your character and friends to exit the level, but you have to be quick or the water level begins to rise and death closes in. I'm a big fan of this game. It's easy to pick up and can be played in 1 or 2 player, but it's surprisingly challenging. The sequel to this game, Zoko Gus-Sun Oyo-Yo, was also released on the Sega Saturn and is a mouthful to say, but is more expensive at around £45, so I recommend you pick this one up for around 15 to 20 before moving on to its sequel. So let's take a look at some gameplay. Next up is the underrated racing game Toad King the Spirits 2, which costs around £10, and for that price it should be in everyone's collection. This game was exclusive to Japan on the Sega Saturn, but the first game in the series did come out in America under the name High Velocity. King of Spirits 2 is a much improved game. Races are undertaken on mountains with slow climbing sections and fast paced downhill sections. The courses are a good size and featured varied times of day and weather conditions that you can race in. It has a great 2-player mode and the tracks can be very challenging, so if you've played all the Sega arcade races to death and are looking for an alternative, this game could be for you. So let's take a look at some gameplay. Next up we have the shoot 'em up Sonic Wings Special, which was released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn. It is a vertical shoot 'em up that can be played in 1 or 2 player and costs around £45, which is fairly cheap considering some of the other Sega Saturn shoot 'em ups can be really expensive. The game also comes with a bonus mini audio CD. The game has a good selection of teams, pilots and ships for the player to choose from. The game also combines the features of Sonic Wings 1, 2 and 3 into one game. I was actually really lucky acquiring this game as I ordered a cheap game from Japan and they sent me a mint condition disc only copy of this by mistake, so it only cost me £7. The game is quite challenging and has varied levels and big bosses to battle, so let's take a look at some gameplay. Next up we have Handshot the Spark, which is a puzzle game and multiplayer battle game similar in nature to Bomberman, but with some unique gameplay elements. It was released in 1997 for the Sega Saturn and can be played in 1 to 4 player using the multi-tap. It has a one-player story mode with bosses at the end of each zone and a multiplayer battle mode and challenge mode. Also similar to Bomberman, there are power-ups, and one feature I really like is in multiplayer battle, when you die you come back as a zombie to try and get revenge on your opponents. On the downside, the main menus are all in Japanese, but if you just click on each one of them it becomes apparent what they are. It may take a little bit of trial and error when you first get the game, but I think you'll quickly find out what all the modes do. The main difference between this and Bomberman is you throw balls, but in order to damage your opponent it must first deflect off a metal turnstile, a bit like pinball style. It takes a bit to get used to, but once you do, it's really fun game, and that should appeal to gamers who like Bomberman as an alternative. So let's see some gameplay. The next game is Side Pocket 3, which is a pool game released in 1997 for the Sega Saturn. It was exclusive to Japan, but Side Pocket 2 did get a US release under the name Minnesota Fat Pool Legend, but that was a top-down pool game. While the newer Side Pocket 3 is in full 3D, the game can be played with up to 4 players and also features a trick shot mode. Unfortunately, the story mode features a lot of Japanese text, but there is a lot of other modes which are easily accessible. The main menus are also all in English. This game has lots of options and variations on pool to play, and I'm a big fan of this game to chill and relax with, so let's see some gameplay. Next up we have Zap Snowboarding Tricks 98, which came out in 1997 and was the much improved sequel to Zap Snowboarding Tricks. The game is entirely in English despite being a Japanese exclusive. Now, Steep Slope Sliders is probably the best snowboarding game for the Sega Saturn with its fantastic controls and trick system. But it can feel a lonely experience with no computer opponents to race, no 2-player and no single-player campaign. Zap 98 may not control as good or have as good a trick system as Steep Slope Sliders, but it does have a 2-player mode, single-player campaign and computer opponents to race against. Plus it is dirt cheap and it pushes Steep Slope Sliders all the way for the best Sega Saturn snowboarding game, as they're both brilliant games but different in their own way. So let's take a look at some gameplay. Next up we have Dentana Twinbee Yahoo Deluxe, which is a shoot 'em up which comes with 2 games on the disc. They are the cute looking arcade shooters Dentana Twinbee and its sequel Twinbee Yahoo. Both games featured on this game are good, but my favourite is the newer Twinbee Yahoo with its faster gameplay, better visuals and element of tactics, the way you can change your attacks. If you're a big shoot 'em up fan, go over and visit my friend John over at Baltimore Retro Gaming. I'll leave a link in the description. It's one of my favourite YouTube channels, and John's a shoot 'em up expert and also a big Sega Saturn fan. The channel features consoles both retro and modern, and his channel's just going from strength to strength, so go over there and subscribe to his channel and check out his content. So let's check out some gameplay of my favourite of the two, the sequel Twinbee Yahoo.
計画をぶっ壊したザーマスはね。ときめきレーザー、ときめきレーザー、メモリアルタイム、ときめきレーザー。
Next up we have Zero Divide the Final Conflict, which is a 3D fighting game released in 1997 for the Sega Saturn. It features robots and you can cause damage to your opponent's armour and it comes off exposing them. The game isn't as good as Virtua Fighter 2, Dead or Alive or Fighters Mega Mix, but it has good graphics and plays really well. So if you're a big fan of 3D fighting games and you're looking for something new, this is definitely worth picking up, especially as it only costs around £8. Each character has plenty of unique moves to learn and rounds take place within ring outs if you get knocked over the side. However, a clever feature lets you grab hold of the edge and shimmy round and climb back in if you have enough health. So let's take a look at some gameplay. You've been watching Retro Dad and Modern Lad, the YouTube channel and soon to be website. If you like this video, give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We've got loads of content, mainly on Sega Saturn with a hint of Dreamcast and other Sega computers. Also go over and join the excellent Sega Saturn collectors and gamers Facebook group to chat about all things Sega Saturn. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye.